better for it. Don't call me 𝒁𝒑𝐿 이제 부르지 마 병이야 치료받고 싶어.
When you left the bathroom, Jimin was waiting for you on the bed, his face contorted in an expression you had never seen before. It was fear, worry, anxiousness, and most of all, unease. Seeing you, he jumped to his feet. You stopped him, reaching out with a hand clutching the test. It was negative. You let it go and it clattered to the floor. You went to the kitchen, took a bottle of drink from the fridge, poured yourself a glass and downed it, wincing. Turning your head, you shoot a glance at Jimin standing with his shoulder to the wall. Don't do this ever again. If we decide to become parents, it has to be either our mutual decision or an accident. Do you understand? Jimin closed the distance between you both and hid his face in your hair. I'm sorry, baby, he whispered. I'm sorry about that, kid. It would have been a beautiful child. He stepped away, laughing as if knowing you'd hit him anytime. He snatched your arms as you swung at him, teasing you. If it were a boy but inherited your character, he'd be boss of all the bosses. Even I didn't manage that. You stopped fighting. We're going to a doctor right now, and that stupid conversation is finished. My son will never be part of the Mafia. Jimin pressed himself against you, heedless of the red stains he was leaving on your clothes. With a wide smile, he looked you in the eyes and kissed you. So, he said, breaking off the kiss. We're going to have a son. Stop it, Jew. That was purely theoretical. Get changed. We are going to the clinic. You dressed his wounds again and went to the closet, stepping out of the dirty clothes and putting on this. When you were finished, Jimin appeared in the doorway and opened one of the 4 huge closets. It was filled with his things. When did you manage to unpack? Yesterday, I had some time to do it. Besides, I had some help. He reached for a suitcase inside the closet and took out a small box. You forgot something, he said, clasping the watch over your wrist. Is this a transmitter too? You asked with a chuckle. No, that's just a watch fine. One transmitter is enough. Let's not get back to that subject again. He sent you a warning look.
You can't take that away.
Let's go, you ordered, grabbing the keys to the BMW. You shouldn't drive, he said, putting them back on the table. Well, okay, but you can, unless you can't drive. Jimin stopped, sporting a sly smirk and raising an eyebrow. I've raced a bit in my time. I know my way around a transmission. But we aren't taking your car. Too big for my liking. I'll call us a cab then. You pulled out your phone, dialing a number, but Jimin plucked it out of your hand, pressing the speaker button. He approached the cupboard next to the door and opened the lowest drawer, pulling out 2 envelopes. You haven't looked in here, have you? He asked ironically, opening the first one. We have other means of transport in the garage. I like those other better. Come on. You went down underground and Jimin pressed a button on the remote he was holding. Car lights blinked in one of the parking spaces. You walked that way and stopped by a black Ferrari. You froze, stared the low, sporty, incredible supercar. Are any more of those cars yours? You asked, watching as he got in. Whichever you want, baby girl, hop in. Inside the car looked like some kind of spaceship. Multicolored buttons and knobs, and a steering wheel flattened on the bottom. To you, it didn't make any sense. How do you drive this thing without reading a manual? Couldn't you get anything showier than this? Jimin pressed the ignition button and the car roared. There were some other options, but a Pagani Zonda was too ostentatious. He raised his eyebrows in amusement and stepped on the accelerator. You drove out of the underground garage, and after the first couple of 100 feet, you were sure he knew what he was doing. You passed intersection after intersection and you navigated, showing him the way to a private hospital. You had picked that specific place as you knew a few doctors there. You had met them on one of the medical conferences you had organized. Two young women sat behind the reception desk. I walked over to one of them, introduced myself, and asked her to point us to Dr. Jung's office. She practically ignored me, her eyes shooting glances at the handsome accompanying me. I repeated my request, and the receptionist gave us directions, blushing. The doctor is waiting for you, she muttered, trying to focus. In the elevator, Jimin brushed my ear with his lips. I like it when you're jealous, he whispered. The elevator doors opened and we got out. Dr. Jung was a rather plain-looking middle-aged man. This seemed to make Jimin happy. "Welcome, Vian," the surgeon shook my hand. "How are you?" I greeted him and introduced Jimin. "This is my fiancé," Jimin finished for me. "Park, Jimin. Thank you for having us." "Jung Ju-won. Call me Jung. It's a pleasure to meet you. What's bringing you to me?" "A hunting accident," Jimin said, seeing the reaction. "A bit too much drink?" he added, pretend amusement. Dr. Jung applied an anesthetic and stitched the wounds back up, writing a prescription for some ointment and an antibiotic, warning Jimin not to stress them too much. We left the hospital and got into the car. "Lunch?" Jimin asked, brushing a strand of hair from my forehead. "I can't get used to that color. I love it, and it suits you well. But you're just so..." He thought for a while. "Different. I like it for now. Besides, it's only colored. I'll change it when I get bored with it. Let's go." Jimin smiled and we drove off. We went inside the restaurant and were greeted by the manager. Jimin told him something discreetly, and the man disappeared before directing us to a table. A while later, a handsome man appeared. "Jimin, my friend," he called out, giving Jimin, who barely managed to get up, a great hug. "No stress on the wounds," I scolded him in my head. "It's good to finally see you again." The men exchanged pleasantries, only recalling that I was there too, after a while. "RM, please meet my fiancé, Vian." The man kissed my hand and said, "Namjoon, it's a pleasure to meet you. You can call me RM like he does." You probably won't find my question too unexpected, but how did you guys meet? I asked. RM shot Jimin a quick glance and he replied, his eyes growing familiarly cold all of a sudden. "Work. We do business together. RM's people drove you from the airport and protected you while I was gone. Have you ordered anything yet? If not, please allow me to pick something for you," RM said, sitting at our table. After several dishes and a couple of bottles of drink, I felt full and completely out of place. The two men started talking business. From what they said, I came to know that RM invested in restaurants and owned a big logistic company dealing with international shipping. The sound of RM's phone interrupted their extremely boring conversation. The host excused himself and left. Jimin focused his eyes on me and reached out, taking my hand. I know you're bored, but this will become a part of your life. You will have to participate in some meetings. You'll be excluded from others. I need to discuss some things with RM. He lowered his voice, inclining his head my way. He said seriously, narrowing his eyes. I pulled my hand out of his grip and took a sip from the glass, leaning back in my chair. I'll consider it. I wasn't asking for your permission, Mayan. I was informing you of what I'll do. His expression told me he wasn't joking, but that was just one of things I loved so much about him. He sat back, calm and composed, but inside he was burning. I don't think I'm in the mood today, I said, shrugging slightly. His eyes drilled holes in me with such intensity I could feel his gaze on me. He didn't speak, but smirked with self-assurance, as if he was asking if I was sure of what I had said. RM's voice broke the silence. Do you remember Joy, Jimin? Of course, how could I forget your lovely wife? Jimin stood up to kiss the woman on both cheeks, gesturing toward me. Joy, please meet my fiancé, Vayan. The woman shook my hand vigorously. Hey, nice to see Jimin in the company of a woman for a change, instead of Taeyang. I know he's his main man, or consigliere, or whatever they call themselves, but they is so handsome. Nice to meet you, I'm Vayan. I don't know how interested you are in their conversation, but I'd suggest a trip to the bar with me. It's going to be fun, I promise. She laughed, revealing a set of snow-white teeth, and pointed to a spot on the other side of the room. I've been waiting for someone to save me for an hour now, I replied, getting up. Going somewhere? Yes, Joy and I are going to talk about something a lot more important than making money, I said. Well, have fun. We don't have much time. As you recall, we have some things to take care of later. I stood rooted to the spot, staring at Jimin with puzzlement. Things? His eyes grew darker, his pupil dilating. Oh, those things. As I said, Mr. Park, I'll think about it. When I started to leave the table, he gripped my wrist and shot up to his feet, pulling me toward him and pushing me against the wall. He kissed me passionately, behaving like there was no one else in the room, or at least as if he didn't care. Think quick, baby girl, he breathed, tearing himself away from me. I stood for a short while studying him. He was someone else when there were people around. He wore a mask that he took off only when we were alone. Jimin sat back at the table and returned to his conversation with RM, while I headed to the bar to talk to Joy. For a long while, our main topic of conversation was her awesome boots and my sneakers. She spoke of this year's Fashion Week in New York, the sport she offered to young Korean designers, and how hard it is to find good clothes in this country. But it clearly wasn't her reason for pulling me aside. So, you do 𝐤𝐳𝑧? She said at one point, changing the subject and looking at me with disbelief. For a while, I wondered what she was talking about, but finally, I recalled the portraits in Jimin's mansion. I know, it's hard to believe, but it seems so. The only difference is I have changed my hair color now. When did he find you and where? Tell me something. We're trying of curiosity here. Well, I am not so much, but I'm positively bursting with it. Some time passed before I told her our story, omitting some details. I didn't know how much I could tell a woman I had only just met. Even feeling like I had known her for years didn't change my approach. You have a difficult task ahead of you, Ryan. To be such a man's woman is a great challenge, Joy warned me, glancing at her glass. I know what our men do for a living, so remember, the less you know, the better you sleep. I noticed that questions aren't exactly welcome, I whispered, grimacing. Don't ask about anything. If he wants to tell you, he will. And if he doesn't, it means it shouldn't concern you. And another very important thing, never question his decisions when it comes to security. She turned to face me and pinned me with her eyes. Remember, everything he does to protect you. Once I didn't obey, she said, rolling up her sleeves. And I was. I glanced at her wrist, which had old, barely visible scars around them. RM found me a day later. I've never again second-guessed him when it comes to security or overprotectiveness. Jimin will be even worse. Believe me, he has been looking for you for years, and he believes those visions of his. He'll treat you as his most precious possession, certain that everyone else is trying to take you away from him. So be patient. I think he deserves it. I sat still, mulling over her words. Outside the bubble that being with Jimin had been, I was learning that I wasn't actually living a dream or a fairy tale. Jimin's voice woke me from my pensiveness. Dear ladies, it is time for us to go. We have some important business to attend to. Joy, it was wonderful to see you again. I hope you'll visit us in Jeju soon. We said our goodbyes and headed to the exit. Before we left, Joy grabbed me by the arm and whispered, "Remember what I told you." Her deathly serious tone terrified me. Would someone really want to? Why, but someone, it could happen to me too. Get in, baby girl, Jimin said, opening the car door for me. I shook my head, chasing away the worrying thoughts, and did as I was asked. You both drove into the garage without exchanging a single word on the way. It felt just like that time when you had been shopping together in Jeju. The difference was that now you knew he wasn't ignoring you, he was just thoughtful. As you left the car, a security guard approached you. Miss, there are packages for you in the reception on the ground floor. Confused, you sent Jimin a look. He only watched you, narrowing his eyes. Not from me, he said, raising his arms defensively. All your things from Jeju came here with you. You took the elevator to the main hall. The entire space was filled with a sea of white tulips. 𝐬𝐴𝐻, you said, approaching the receptionist. There's supposed to be a package for me here? Yes, all these flowers are for you. Would you like me to help you carry them upstairs? You looked around. There were hundreds of tulips. You drew near one of the bouquets and snatched the little card attached to it. Does he know what your favorite flowers are? You went to another, reading another card. Does he know how you like your tea? You grabbed yet another. Does he know your passions? Terrified, you read card after card, crumpling them all into little balls and stuffing them into your pockets. Jimin stood behind you with his hands crossed on his chest, watching you until you read all the messages. You know what? You said to the receptionist. Send these back or throw them away. Unless you have a girlfriend, she would be happy if you give them to her. You pressed the elevator button. Jimin positioned himself next to you and went inside without a word. Upstairs, you went to the door and took the envelope that was taped to it. You went inside and sat on the couch, turning the white envelope into your fingers, finally raising your eyes and looking at Jimin. His eyes flared with hate and his jaw was working rhythmically. Terrified, you stood and drew nearer to him. He's disrespecting me, Jimin said through clenched teeth as you faced him. Come on, they're only flowers. Only flowers? What's in the envelope? I don't know, and I don't care, you cried, frustrated, flinging the envelope into the fireplace. You grabbed the remote and switched the flames on, incinerating the paper instantly. Better? You gazed at Jimin, but he didn't react. Jimin, haven't you ever fought for a woman? He has a right to try if he feels like it, and I have a right to make decision. You lowered your voice a bit, holding his face between your hands. And I've already made it. I'm staying with you, even if a hole orchestra is going to play me a serenade and he is going to sing. I won't change my mind. He is dead to me, just like that man. Jimin pinned you with his ice cold stare. You knew he wasn't listening. He jerked his head away and pulled a step back, storming off to the bedroom. You heard him getting something from the closet and stomping back. He passed you on the way. He hissed, pulling his phone from his pocket. Terrified by the intensity of his actions, you just stood in place gaping. You had no idea what to do to stop him.
Play tough and wanna hate this. I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that.